Hello, this is Daryl Ehrlich with the Billings Gazette, and I am here with Ivory Robinson Jr., and this is the Vietnam Voices series, a project of the Billings Gazette and sponsored by Master Lube, and I'm very happy to have Ivory here today. Ivory, though it cannot be seen on camera, Ivory's father, Ivory Robinson Sr., who was a World War II Navy veteran, is here in Studio 2, and I just want to say welcome to both of you. But we're here to talk about the Vietnam experiences of the junior of the two Robinsons. And so thanks so much for being a part of this.
You're welcome.
Let's talk a little bit. I start everybody at the beginning, which is let's go before 1966. You were in the U.S. Marine Corps from 66 to 68, but what were you doing before that?
Working on a ranch out of Melstone, Stintsfad Ranch.
Okay.
And I decided, I volunteered for the draft.
Okay.
And I went to Butte.
Okay.
And got down there and ready to go into the service. And there were 74 of us. 4 were going in the Marines, 70 were going in the Army. I was one of the 4 that went in the Marines.
Did you have a choice, or did they just say
choice.
They said you're a Marine?
That's right.
What did you? Why did you decide to volunteer?
I decided I wanted to do something different, and I wasn't ready for college. And I just been ranching all my life. My dad and I, we'd run ranches and different things, and I wasn't really ready to do much else at the time, and said it's time to go in the service. And actually, I got out before I was 21.
Really? So you went in at 19, or were you 18?
And I was I was 18.
Okay. Were you 1966, so we know where Vietnam is.
Right.
The opposition, the large opposition hadn't happened, but there's still a war going on. Did that scare you?
No, I never thought about it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I started right, I started right at the DMZ, which is where it separated. That's where I went in at.
Okay. So you went to Butte, and then where did you do basic?
San Diego.
Yep. And so you went through boot camp, and then did you do AIT?
At Pendleton. Then I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, which was by mistake. I only went there 30 days.
Okay.
And so then I came home. Then I went to Vietnam, Westpac.
So you got your orders. What were you trained in? Were you trained as a rifleman or infantry?
Grunt, yeah,
Grunt?
so 311.
Okay, yeah, I've heard a lot.
That's all draftees were doing.
Right. Just so you come home for 30 days. What'd you do for that 30 days?
Well, I had a girlfriend then.
Okay.
So I talked to her, and actually, and so then that's about all I did. I don't know even if I worked then, but actually it wasn't 30 days because I came home the first time 15 days. I went back, then I came home again after I came back from Camp Lejeune, and then I went back because, so it had to split it up.
Right. So you got your orders for Vietnam. You were pretty much expecting if you're drafted.
I expected, yeah. Westpac.
Yeah. So let's talk about leaving the U.S. Where'd you do that? And
I came out of El Toro, California.
Okay.
Then we went to Japan, and we went to Okinawa, the Marshall Islands, the Philippines, then right into Vietnam.
Okay. Where'd you land in Vietnam?
Da Nang.
Da Nang. Okay, let's talk about what's your first impression of landing? That's a long flight. There are a lot of stops.
Yeah.
That had to be long.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what you step off or you get off, and what's Da Nang like, and what are your impressions as a Montana ranch kid?
Well, actually, it wasn't Da Nang where I stepped. I stepped off there, and I had to get on another plane right away heading to Dong Ha.
Okay.
And that's right at the DMZ.
Yeah, that's some pretty intense. Pretty. So what's Dong Ha look like?
Just a regular. I hate to tell you, I don't remember a lot about these. They were, to me, it was just dump.
Right.
They were great, and I got there, and about 2 days, I was on the China Sea.
Okay.
That's what my first assignment was the China Sea.
Okay, and what did you?
That was because they had bladders there, and they were taking fuel off the ship and putting them in these bladders. Then we're taking them up the river.
Okay.
To Dong Ha.
Okay.
And then, I did that for about a month, and I mean rain. And in fact, one day I seen a couple come in. 2 guys had been on the outpost. That's the last time we ever seen them. Because they dropped in a hole, went out the ocean, which, because we were right close to the ocean. But I still remember that. It was, I bet it rained 70 inches in that month.
Wow.
It just rained and rained.
We've never seen, in Montana, growing up on a ranch, you do not see rain like that.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, so you're running ships, bladder ships.
Well, actually, we were standing security around the bladder ships.
Okay.
Yeah, because the PT Navy would come in with the fuel and put it in our bladders. And then other ships, PT cruisers would come in and load it up and take it up like the different places, Dong Ha and things like that, Phu Bai, Con Thien, or Chi Lai and stuff like that.
Was that dangerous, that bladder work, or was that pretty?
No, it was not dangerous there. Could have been, but we never got hit there. It was the only thing that was bad there is just water, just so much rain.
Yeah. So it kind of made it miserable.
Yeah.
What were your quarters? So were you on land or on ship?
I was on land.
Okay.
We just whatever you had a poncho, and that's what you slept in.
Wow.
You're always wet day and night.
Right. And was it warm rain or was it cold?
That I don't remember. I didn't really care then. I just tried to live through it.
Just really wet.
You're wet all the time. And you had your feet, your bands are real bad.
Right. So then what after the bladder?
Then I went up to Dong Ha.
Okay.
And then I stayed there for a period of time. Then we moved in to Con Thien for a little bit. That's for about 3 months. And then we moved around down south a little bit to Cambodia.
Okay.
And then, because we never went inside to barracks and stuff. We had to eat, we always had sea rations. Never went at all.
I've heard tell about sea rations.
Yeah.
Are they as bad as
you lived on them? That's what you had to live on. That's what you ate.
Yeah.
For this one example, I'm kind of a picky eater, and they had boiled eggs. I was going to bring a hot meal out.
Okay.
And it was Easter, and they brought a hot meal out. It was boiled eggs. And I remember throwing a hot boiled egg up against the tree because I hate boiled eggs.
Right.
That was my hot meal.
Wow. Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter. But then, once in a while, you got to go. I went into Dong Ha, or not Dong Ha, Da Nang, so often. Let's say I'd go in there. 3 days I went to China Beach, which is kind of an R&R. Mm-hmm. Then we go back out. And then after a period of time, we became a floating battalion.
Okay, tell me about that.
We went from there, they flew us to Okinawa.
Okay.
And we went to a training there, 10 days.
Okay.
And we regrouped. We had 100%, we were totally complete in our numbers.
Okay.
Otherwise you lose a lot of numbers and stuff like that. And anyway, then we went to the Philippines, got on a ship at the Philippines. We were there in Philippines about 5 days, just did basically nothing. And then we got on the Iwo Jima, and we headed to Vietnam. And we got to Vietnam, and we were going to do anything for 30 days.
Okay.
And I went in by helicopter. 2 helicopters, I still remember this, 2 helicopters went out. And pretty soon they said, incoming wounded. And I still remember this. I looked downstairs, and I think maybe I ought to walk back down the stairs. But I didn't.
Yeah.
And I got it, and I never got hurt. But so we got that. And we burned everything, killed everything.
Right.
And we did that. We lost a lot. I think I have a little or a little booklet on it where they made that up. And I think that time we lost probably 150 in 3 days.
Wow.
30 days, excuse me.
150. And so you are how many of?
There's about 2,000 of us, so.
Okay. So 2,000, and your job was just to go up and take land.
Take land, burn them. You couldn't smell at night because it's burned so much burning.
So you're just burning everything down.
Killing everything you see.
Is this before Agent Orange, or are they using this, or are they just?
I honestly don't know when Agent Orange was.
Okay.
Because I do get a disability from Agent Orange.
Okay.
I don't remember because, he never tell you nothing.
Right. So you're just burning stuff to the ground.
Burning stuff to the ground.
And what are you burning? Is it forest?
Shacks,
Is it junk?
Anything.
Okay.
I don't even know how they knew the difference between North and South Vietnam. We burned everything.
Okay. Wow, and you're on the DMZ, so you're just...
No, actually, at that time we were near the ocean.
Okay.
When we were on the, that time we were just right near the ocean because then we move in. Then after we were done that, we regrouped, and then we went to the DMZ. That's when we built the DMZ.
Okay.
See, I was there when they built it. It was the Seabees that built it with the cats. All they did is basically maybe 50 yards wide.
Okay.
But the cats did all the work.
Okay.
And we stood security around the Seabees. And we did that, and then we moved around a little bit, and then we stuck in Con Thien for a while. And then we knew we lost some guys. And then they were bringing in 2 battalions of North Vietnam. And North Vietnamese liked marijuana,
Right.
and they lived on that stuff. And we could see, like we'd look out and we'd see a lot of Russian tanks,
Okay.
because they had.
Yeah, they were back in
Yeah.
the North
And
Vietnamese.
That's correct. But anyway, so we knew they were coming. And there wasn't much we could do about it, so we did the best we had. Con Thien heavy all the way around. And then they hit us at night.
Okay.
And actually, I was back a ways from them. And they came in and outrun. They just pushed us out.
They overran.
They overran us.
Okay.
But I was in another squad. And believe this or not, I had a guy that had been in the service 8 years. And all of a sudden, they called up another squad. And my squad leader went with the other squad. He didn't even know where he was. But anyway, so I never got up there to the line at first.
Okay.
So then we stayed back. Next morning, we went in.
Okay.
And
this is up by Con. Is this by Con Thien?
Con Thien. All
Okay.
this is Con Thien.
Okay.
And then we started looking around, and we lost, I think, 50 or 60 guys.
Wow.
And I had a friend that was from Chicago, and he had his own pistol. He was a gung-ho guy. And I mean, had a scope, and he had 12 gooks around him when he died. And I didn't. I was lucky. I didn't have and they just threw their dead bodies on the Con Thien and walked over the top of them. So then we had the Seabeats come in, dug a hole in the ground. We buried 150 North Vietnamese right there, and I could walk back today and show you where they were buried.
Wow. What was that like? I mean, 150, it's one thing to read about this stuff in war, but what's 150 dead enemy look
At
like?
the time, it didn't bother me. It was something, and I look back why it didn't bother me, and it didn't, because it wasn't our body to start with.
Right, and you'd been fighting.
Yeah, we've been fighting, and there was, I think, about 6 of us throwing the bodies in the hole.
Okay.
And then when we were done, the Seabeats just come in and put dirt on the hole, and that's where the bodies stayed.
Okay.
That's where they'd be today.
Okay. And so when it was overrun, did you think you were going to get overrun? I mean, were you prepared for
We
combat?
were prepared, yes.
Okay.
At the time, I didn't actually have a rifle. I had an M79.
Okay, that's a grenade launcher. Right?
Yeah, that's a little grenade launcher. That's what I carried, and then a pistol.
Okay.
But I never at that point I didn't shoot that because we were too
close.
Yeah, and I mean we happened to be outside the perimeter when they did, and there's so I wasn't totally involved in that till we started burying the bodies.
Okay.
Now I had a friend that he lives in New Mexico. I seen him a couple years ago, and he is up for the Medal of Honor. But the trouble is, there's a lieutenant colonel that was going to put him up for it, and they were flying back, and he got killed in a helicopter. So he still hadn't gotten it. But he captured a bunch of North Vietnamese big shots because they were out there trying to use this stuff, and so he captured them and brought them back in. But he hasn't got anything like that since.
Huh.
So then, then we went to Cambodia, along the Laos. We moved around up and down on that. And, you got to move around sometimes.
Yeah.
Then when Chu Lai, they built a little airstrip. I went in there for a little bit because, just to show on security around, because Dong Ha was getting hit always so bad. They quit bringing airplanes into there because it was so close to the border.
Right, and it was taking so much fire.
Yeah.
What was so when you were in those fights, like in Con Thien, is it and it's at night?
Yeah.
How do you even tell what's going on? Because is it dark? Is it tell me about that?
Well, they have a lot of flares going up.
Okay, they got the parachute flares.
Yeah, the parachute flares. And actually, I was down below a hill.
Okay.
I mean, and so once our squad leader left, they never wanted us to come up.
Okay.
And then we found he came back the next day and he said, "Well, I guess I went with the wrong squad." This guy'd been 8 years now.
Right. And so were you worried that you were going to have to either go hand to hand with them, or if they were overrunning you? What were you worried about that?
Actually, I wasn't worried about. I don't know. You don't worry about stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to do, you're going to do.
Yeah.
To stay alive. That's what I was worried about. I'm going to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Things didn't enter that mind. I knew what I had to do if I had to do it.
Yep. And so you got a lot of in Con Thien, did you take a lot of casualties then? I mean, you had 150 Vietnamese, but what?
We buried 150.
Right.
There was about 300 Vietnamese killed.
Okay, 300, and
then there was about 150 of us killed.
Okay.
I think. Now, that's what they tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it, so that night must be pretty loud if that much fighting's going on.
See, this is supposed to be the second deadliest attack in Vietnam.
Okay.
Con Thien was. That's why I read this now.
Right.
You know, at the time you don't know or don't care really, or
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back, how does that make you feel? I mean, you witnessed literally history. Did it feel?
yeah, you know. And again, we didn't know what day it was or anything like that. You know, and
You're just
I'm
out
waiting
there.
to get back home.
Right.
That's my main thing, so I can go back home.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, this for example, there was 100. Marine Corps transferred you every 13 months, right on the spot. We flew into Okinawa, we were getting ready to go home. There was 184 of us went over. There was 4 of us coming back, and I was the only one that never got wounded. So I felt very fortunate, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You were out there.
Yeah, every day.
Every day. And every day getting shot at?
No.
Okay.
No. You don't get every. I doubt if you got shot more than 2 or 3 times a month.
Okay.
You know, you go out at night. You know, go out at night and do a lot of these scouting and stuff like that. And you go in the villages. And then, of course, like at night, you go in villages. You see a lot of these mercenaries in there.
Okay.
And they got paid good money to go in there. And I don't know who paid them, but they were in there.
And they were fighting on.
Any side that paid them.
Wow. Right. So you don't know if they're friend or enemy, right? Right.
They were mostly French.
Right. Did they? And you're mostly fighting up north. You're fighting the NVA. So you're fighting. You're fighting regularly trained army.
That's correct.
How did they fight? How you're a soldier. They're a soldier. How would you rate them as soldiers?
Just smoke a little marijuana and get on with it.
Okay.
That's about all I ever seen on them. You know, I didn't see. You know, they stayed until they really would come all attack.
Okay.
Then they'd sneak out during the night. They'd sneak in about 8 at night or something down the DMZ or something. You know, but I didn't. A lot of them go in, and then they build hospitals and stuff underneath the ground in the jungles.
Okay.
We found a lot of those.
Yeah.
See, now up north, we never had a lot of booby traps and stuff. See, it was too new.
Okay.
Like down Saigon and stuff, where they had a lot of that stuff.
Right.
We didn't have that.
Right, yeah. Did and so when you were let's go back to just kind of burning everything down. Your goal was just to burn it down so that you could kind of see, or what was the reason for just is it taking the land so that, and also getting it so where you had control of it? Is that kind of?
I never ask.
Okay.
You know, we don't. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just an old private. You know, and they
Yeah.
don't tell you nothing. They
Okay.
just say get in there and go to it. And just to make sure it was clean. I'd say, and there was a lot of infiltration for North Vietnamese there.
Right.
And that's why, because you never knew who the difference was, south or north.
Yeah.
They could change overnight.
Right, and often did.
Often did.
Yeah.
Because they were strictly looking for food, like the South Vietnamese. Because they had no food. You know, and there was a lot of that. You know, and you just, of course, sea rash was good enough for them. They loved it.
Wow.
You know, so
Right, that hard-boiled egg, or that warm-boiled egg, yeah, that might have been real.
that'd been a treat for them.
Yeah. So when you're burning stuff, that's a lot of fire.
A lot of fire.
So you can, what's that look like? Give me. Is it just everything's on fire?
So you got to, because see, it's such, that's a real light, like banana trees and stuff like that. You know, it's jungle there. I mean, it's a lot of places you can't even see the sun.
Okay.
You know, not actually when you get close, that close we were, you can, because you got to go in where it's real jungle.
Okay.
But now you also had a lot of leeches.
I've heard tell. Tell me about that.
When you got in water, you had to watch yourself.
Okay.
I mean, because boy, those leeches, they'd suck you. And then you use mosquito repellent to get the leeches off.
Okay.
You know, you just spray it with it and they would drop off.
Okay.
You get one night, if you went through a lot of rice paddies, you go 5 or 6, 7 of them, you know, and on your bodies. And
Yeah.
it depends. You had to watch where they were at, too.
Yeah.
Because they could get dangerous.
Yeah.
And then, there were some snakes. We never ran into many snakes.
Okay.
A lot of them say they did, but I never seen a lot of snakes.
Yeah.
But a lot of just bugs and a lot of malaria, and I never got malaria.
Okay. So you took the malaria pills.
I think so. I don't remember.
Right.
Anything. I could care less about that time. A lot of them took, water. I still remember this. They had pills for water because water is bad, and I didn't take the pills because it made it taste terrible.
Right.
So and then the only time you drink water is at night when it cooled off. Otherwise, it's boiling.
Yeah.
And you go.
No one wants to drink hot water.
No, and you go about 2 o'clock in the morning and you get water.
Okay.
Because we had, all up all night. We're on hour and a half on, hour and a half off watches.
Okay.
You know, and of course there's sometimes we did bunker in, you know, make bunks and stuff like that at different places.
Is it hard sleeping out there?
Not really, just sleep on the ground.
Right.
You got a poncho and you bring it, you know, you got your sleep or your bag in the back and you just lay that as a pillow and that's where you go to sleep.
Right. So it's not hard. Are you worried about taking fire at night or being or getting attacked at night?
Well, you always worry about it a little bit, but you know, you then never, not really.
Are you going up? Are you so far north and or do you have to do night ambushes and patrol?
We did a lot of night ambushes and patrols.
Okay, so what were those like? Tell me about those.
Just go out there and see if you can find anybody, kill them, get rid of them, and you know, if you run into them, we go out with a dog.
Okay.
You know, and see if that.
Did that work?
It did somewhat, not great.
Right, because the jungle, it's pretty dense too.
Then it was dark. We had a couple times we get out there and we lose a couple guys.
Okay.
You know, because they wouldn't pay attention, and pretty soon they're way back or gone or something. We'd find them hopefully in the morning.
Okay.
You know, they were scared a little bit by then.
Yeah, because if you get lost, and it's dark, right? Because it's canopy.
Real dark.
So how do you know when you found somebody in a jungle at night?
Just open up and take care of it.
Okay.
You know, you weren't, because that your first instinct. You know,
It's just
there's a lot of things we did over there we probably shouldn't have done. You know, as far as some of these guys were there today they couldn't get away with it.
right.
I mean, we did some things that
Yeah.
they'd just like, you know, what you watch on TV where these guys are urinating on the bodies or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Today, then they never had that
Right.
because we didn't have the cameras or anything, and we were too far north anyway, so.
Yeah. Yeah, did on night, so on ambushes you would catch people, there would be NVA
yeah.
coming down.
Yeah,
And
especially around Con Thien.
okay. That was so Con Thien was a pretty active place.
Very active because it's right along the border there.
Yep.
See, the DMZ, I think, was 17 miles long.
Yep.
It was very short because that's where it really narrows down.
Okay.
You know, and that's why, you know, there was other people down towards Dong Ha that were you know, because we only had about 2 miles we took care of.
Yeah. So let's talk about when you were over there. What'd you miss most about home? You're in pretty primitive conditions.
Well, at the time I had a girlfriend,
Okay.
and I probably missed her the most.
Okay.
You know, and that's all you thought about.
Sure.
But somehow I got home and she wasn't there.
Okay. That's tough. That's tough.
So she'd found somebody else and moved on.
Right.
Of course, you've seen a lot of that over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of guys move on, and you know, and girls that's 13 months, and that's a long time to be without them.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you, I've heard a lot of soldiers talk about, they talked about the real world when they when they get back to the real world,
Yeah.
they were going to do X, Y, and Z. What were you going to do when you got back?
Just get out of the service. I wasn't sure.
Right.
Well, you know, they kept wanting you to re-enlist, and I wasn't going to re-enlist.
Yeah.
You know, Ivory, you can come back and become a sergeant in a certain amount of time and this, and you can choose your, you know, because you knew that you'd only be there one assignment for about a year. Then you had to go back to Vietnam again. And I wasn't going back. That's enough for me.
Yeah, one tour was fine.
Yeah, a lot of guys wanted to go back, though.
Why? Why do you think?
They loved the excitement. There's a lot of guys did a lot of things that they got them excited.
Yeah.
You know, they loved to, you know, do things that they shouldn't have done.
Right. Right.
And I wasn't one of those guys.
You did what you had to do.
I did what I had to do, and but not everybody. There's a very small percentage that did things wrong.
Yeah.
And
was it an adrenaline rush? I mean, was it kind of that
they
thrill?
had I didn't have a good adrenaline rush like they did. They got, I mean, you got some of the stuff. This is true. You can find this guy was out of Baker, Oregon, this is the honest God's truth. He cut ears off, and he had strings, 2 of them in his hand, and they were about 18 inches long, full of ears. And anyway, he sent them in the Berkeley Free Press, and boy, that went right to the top.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
They were going to really court-martial him and everything.
Right.
Because he had pictures of it and stuff. Then his neighbor was a state senator out of Oregon. So he calls his friend, the state senator, U.S. senator,
right.
I should say. And he said, I'll take care of it. Then nothing ever came of that. That was all we ever heard. And he went home and I went home. And I
Yeah.
didn't go home with him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it changes a person, I imagine. I mean,
It does. It changed, yeah.
Yeah. So, were there times that you thought that you weren't going to get out of there? I mean,
No, what I thought about is trying to get an easy wound.
right.
You know, there's a lot of guys got easy wounds and got out of there.
Yeah.
Like shoot themselves in the foot, or see rats that when the rounds are coming in, they'd cut themselves. You know, when
Right.
shrapnel hit them or something.
Yeah. So there was some of that.
Yeah.
So it was just how. So you would take intermittent fire. It wouldn't be like every
No,
day,
it
but
wasn't every day. No.
okay. What was the when you went to somewhere like Dong Ha or the other besides Con Thien, what were those places like?
Well, it depends on if you went. They were better. If you went into the main places where the air runs were and everything like that, you did get into some hot meals, and you had hutches there they'd built.
And those were a little better.
They were a lot better.
Yeah.
You know? And then they did. Of course, they did have cold beer. That's the only beer I hated, that hot beer and stuff.
Yeah. Did you have any good beer in Vietnam?
I don't think so. I did. I hate to tell you, I wasn't a real big beer drinker. So,
Right.
But I did. They did have that. So if you were in the back in the perimeters and stuff, it was a lot easier.
Okay. And so when you were out, what percentage of time would you say you were out in kind of in the field in the jungle?
Probably 85% of the time.
Okay. Did you have any correspondence or any communication with home?
Yeah, we wrote letters every day.
Okay. So you wrote letters every day, and what did you tell family and friends back home? Now, you had a father who fought in World War II.
Actually, Dad didn't. My mother did all the writing.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's my mom just tell me what was going on, and I didn't say much what was going on in Vietnam.
Right.
And so basically, my mother and this girlfriend at the time did most of the writing.
Okay.
And then here's the only thing that bothered me. Then I get to L.A., you have a lot of these Mooney people, wearing sacks. They're just, don't believe in anything, and they're telling you got a uniform on. Then I get to here to Billings, and there's nobody there waiting for me. So I'll tell you.
You can't win for losing.
No, you can't. So I guess they forgot me.
Wow. Did they finally pick you up? I hope.
I had a guy named Dean Newman did.
Okay.
He lives in Roundup now, but he was there, so he dropped me home.
So what's the let's talk about when you're over there, what are the sights or smells? What still stick with you today as far as sights or smells?
Fish.
Really?
Oh, that fish stunk.
Okay.
I went to Lisbon, probably 25 years ago on a trip.
Okay.
And, I got downtown Lisbon, and Portugal, of course. But anyway, it smelled like Vietnam. Here we are, that stinking fish, and I hate fish.
Right.
And, that's all there was, stinking fish.
Right.
And I said, I'm back in Vietnam.
Wow, so it's the fish.
Yeah, it's the fish.
Yeah. And these jungles are hot, they're humid, they're
Oh, it's unbelievable, yeah.
Right.
Bugs all over, leeches in the water. Leeches were
Yeah, I've heard. It's not snakes, it's not anything else. It's
leeches were the most things I ever, because they sucked the blood out of you. But actually I was pretty lucky as far as I got back. I had a little problem as far as my stomach and my digestive system because of over the filth. But otherwise the only thing I ever had bad.
And that's pretty amazing because you guys saw a lot of Marines that far north always saw a lot of action.
We didn't have we weren't back and reading papers at night or anything like that.
Right.
We were there.
What was nighttime like? Besides you have to do guard duty, but after you were done, kind of out traipsing around in the jungle, then what was just the atmosphere? Are you all tired? Can you even talk without giving up your position, or what?
We're hour and a half on, hour and a half off.
Okay.
All night long.
Okay.
So then you're done with that, and then you got used to it, I guess. When I was younger then, I didn't need as much sleep. Today I would never even started. You couldn't do it.
How do you keep? How do you deal with? You're seeing guys get either killed or injured pretty badly on a routine basis. How do you deal with that?
Well, I just at the time I didn't, just that's the way it is.
That's war.
Yeah, that's war, and I've seen a lot. Now there was a lot of we kill or hurt a lot of guys ourselves.
Okay, tell me.
Stupidity, you know. I mean, you know, we're all not North Vietnamese caused.
Right.
We goof up, we shoot a guy, you know, accidentally, or
Right.
you know, or
a grenade doesn't land.
we put a strike in and it comes over and chops his fingers. This guy's had a radio off, for example, chopped all his fingers off. You know, and lucky he didn't chop him off, but
Right. Wow.
you know, I mean, we did. Of course, it's still happening.
Right. Because it's a dangerous.
That's yes. I mean, and whatever you do, you don't do it always right.
Yeah.
And so I guess that I never, you know, we go out at night and then come back and we just then we had to clean our rifles and stuff like that. And,
Okay.
you know, I just
Sea rations. Were there any? Well, I've heard among people who ate sea rations that different soldiers had different ones that they could stomach or would like or even trade for. Did that happen for you?
that did happen some.
Okay. What sea ration did you love? Which one did you hate?
I don't remember. I just ate them all.
Okay.
You know, the bread you put water in, then you heat it up. They had these tablets you heat, you know, make it hot.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and then you do that. You kind of learned how to cook them all.
Right.
I didn't like the eggs. I should, you know, they had this egg stuff. I didn't eat that.
Okay.
I ate lima beans was good, and they had this ham was, you know, and that was all right. But then they had gum in there, and they had a piece of candy for you,
Right.
3 cigarettes. Then, you know, at that time everybody smoked,
Right. Yeah.
and so we had that, and that was our sea rats.
Right.
And we had our opener, and you know, it was. But I guess basically, like during the day, it was tough because it's so hot and miserable.
Yeah.
You know, and you had to have your flight jacket on, or you know, I call it flight. You know, and buckled up and stuff, and you had to have your helmet on, and
That got hot.
that got hot.
Yeah. Did you? Most guys I know especially who are doing that every day, grunts humping a pack and
Some of them had to hump the M30, and then they had my grenade launcher only is like the M79. Remember, it's the M79.
Yep.
It's not like the grenade launchers that they have the mortars go in.
Right.
That's heavier.
Right. So, did you lose weight in Vietnam? Because I know a lot
I
of
came
guys.
home 155 pounds.
Okay.
I weighed 175 going in.
Okay.
So I've gained a little bit since then. So
But just a little.
Just a little.
That's me too. What's the what was a bad day in Vietnam like? Or what do you remember as a bad?
probably bad days were when we got all these guys killed. That's the worst
Yeah.
day. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that, and that was tough. You know, and there's a couple other incidents that we have, but most of all, it just kind of evened out. You know, and there, you see a lot of, you know, they all wanted food. They'd come in and want food.
The Vietnamese people who were
Yeah.
there. Nothing around.
Nothing around.
What were the people of Vietnam like? Did you get much chance to interact with them?
Well, they always had a sister for sale. You know, they always did that. So,
Wow. Tough.
you know, that was normal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so, you know, but we never goofed around like that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that was serious.
Yeah. Well, and you could get
Unbelievable
ambushed,
stuff.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but that's about these. And then the girls would be outside, you know, and the kids, the guys never came in. They were always in. Hopefully, they were fighting for the country.
Right. So,
And-
but very poverty. I mean, if they're begging
poverty, yeah. Oh, terrible! You going into the villages, you know, just terrible. They were very religious people, though. They had a lot of stuff around, you know.
Did you, when you were over there at nighttime? How do you even know where to fire at nighttime?
Well, you put claymores out front, okay?
Okay. Yep.
And they're shooting flares in the sky.
Okay.
All right, you know what claymore is? Like
Yep.
a bunch
Yeah,
of
they-
BBs.
Yep.
And we did that, and so they're shooting flamers all night long.
Okay.
This way we know if they're coming in. We got concertina wire all the way around if we were in the
Okay.
perimeter. If we were out on a squad, we didn't. We had to watch ourselves all night long because you couldn't put the old lights up in the air because they'd know where you're at and stuff like that. So that was a little different. But usually if you got out there, then also you had every night, if you had a perimeter, you go out, 3 or 4 people, and go out and watch, make sure nobody's coming in. That was your job. If there was anybody coming in, you radioed in, tell them we got people approaching.
Okay.
And that's how, you know, because you were out there and just checking, make sure the perimeter is safe.
Okay.
And that's basically how we watched all of it.
Was that spooky when you when you're on guard duty and watching the perimeter outside the perimeter?
You better be awake for sure. You can't doze off.
Yeah. Was it hard staying awake?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I had a guy that, just for example, he was out of Bayonne, New Jersey, and we were together, and I had to wake him up 20 minutes before my hour and a half was up because he wouldn't wake up. So then I'd have to start hitting him. You know, he wouldn't wake up for all the money in the world.
Wow.
Well, and it's kind of funny how he got out. He had a choice of going to prison or going into the Marines. Or the service, not Marines. He just, he's drafty. Right. So he went on in instead of going into
prison.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was quite a, which actually wasn't that bad, I don't think.
Yeah.
At least they grew up and went on with their lives then.
Yeah. Yeah. Was the Marine Corps good for you? Was it a good experience, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was a very good experience.
Why for you?
Well, I was well trained.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they made sure you were ready to, if you had to, you put them down.
Okay.
You don't back down.
Okay.
And I'm always glad that I had that. I don't know if I'd come out alive if I'd been in another branch. Mm-hmm. And there's, you always wonder, but I thought it was good.
Right.
I do, just did, the only thing that bothers me, there's one thing that does bother me.
Okay.
When McNamara said we lost the war.
Okay.
We didn't lose that war. They just let it go.
Yeah.
And that's what, that's always bothers me because we tried our best. And I mean, I lost so many friends over there. I could look at the Vietnam Wall and there's a lot of people out there.
Yeah. How do you, after something like in Con Thien or just losing a couple even in a fight, or how do you just keep on going? That would seem to be a huge blow if you're working with these guys day in, day out, and you lose them. That's got to be tough.
Well, see, sometimes actually another situation that helped me as far as I'm concerned, rotating. You rotate these guys in and out. When you're 13 months, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these guys, when you went in, we're getting ready to rotate out. And sometimes you go to different squads. So you never really got too friendly with them.
Okay.
Which I think was good. Like now, they just live together. They have a friend go down. I mean, they've been together all the time. So you aren't quite as close with these guys as you are now with, and that's my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. So that makes sense. Still, it's tough, I imagine. I don't want to.
Yeah. No, it's still tough. But and I look back on that. Maybe it wasn't quite as tough for me as it would be these guys because they got so much closer. And you do regret a lot of. Some of these guys go out on excursions at night or something. Some of them don't come back, and they're not in your squad, so they don't come back, and that kind of bothers you.
Yeah. Do you, when you're out and something happens, do you have any kind of reinforcements? Do you have gunships or anything that come out, or are you too close for that?
No, we have a lot of Puff the Magic Dragon helicopters. They'll shoot a football field and quick. They had that. Then napalm. We had those. You better be making sure how you call them in.
Yeah, because if you get the wrong coordinates, you're all toast too.
Yep, you're all toast there. Someone got the wrong coordinates. But we had those. And at night, you don't get them many anyway, so you don't. It's during the day.
Right.
That comes in.
So when people are injured or killed, how do they get out? I mean, you're in the jungle. Tell me about how you get them out.
Helicopter.
Okay.
A lot of times you had to wait a couple days, though, too.
Really?
Well, because the fog and stuff. When it would get fog in, you couldn't, or getting hit bad, you couldn't come in.
Right.
And
did you have to walk them to a landing zone or at least clear an LZ?
Sometimes like for Con Thien, we had to go outside the landing zone to get them out because you couldn't dare bring it in. So you'd go out a quarter of a mile, half mile, and bring them in, out the helicopter in there, and then they'd take them out.
Wow. Well, and you had a medic with your everyone.
Well,
had
just for example, I didn't realize it till I went down and stuff. But when we had the burn deal where we just hit the country and burned everything and killed everything, we had 8 medics killed in that one too.
Wow.
So that I didn't. I was talking to a medic and he looked at the book and he said there was 8 medics killed in this too. You don't look at it and.
Yeah. That's pretty tough. What was were there good times in Vietnam? And if so, what was no good?
No good times in Vietnam. There was good times in the other countries.
Right.
You know, like I went to Taiwan.
Yep. For an R&R.
Yeah, that was nice.
And you went to the Philippines for
I went to Philippines, and I went to I went to Philippines twice, and you know, actually it wasn't R&R. Actually, you got 7 days. I was in Taiwan 7 days.
Okay.
On it, that was nice.
Right, but in Vietnam.
The only time I went to like that, you went to China Beach, which was at Da Nang.
Okay.
That was real nice too.
Okay.
Right on the ocean there. And,
what were R&Rs like? Because I've heard a lot about them, but
well, that's kind of kept secret there too.
Okay.
You know, I was
right. Fair enough. Maybe that's why I haven't heard a lot about it.
You don't hear a lot about it.
Okay.
You have a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, so you do get. Is it hard going back after an R&R?
Yeah, it is. It's dang hard going back. Well, the only main thing not hard about it, I was broke, so I had to go back.
Right. And so you've got 13 months in country.
Yeah.
And let's talk about leaving Vietnam. What was that like? How'd you leave Vietnam? And tell me about that.
Well, I left Vietnam out of Da Nang.
Okay.
And then we hit to Okinawa. Mm-hmm. Then we had I don't know what they call it, a hurricane or typhoon or whatever it is. We had to stay there 3 extra days. Then,
that probably seems like, is that a hard thing to do, or is it easy because
you know? That's a hard thing at the time because you want to get back home.
Yep.
And so we got there, and then we went, actually Pan American was in business, and we went from there to the United States in Pan American in a commercial airlines, which was nice.
Okay.
There was 160 of us on there, and there's 4 stewardesses, so they were busy.
Right. Right. And you hadn't seen stewardesses for a while, I'm guessing.
They were good-looking stewardesses, so everybody had
to flirt.
Yeah, flirt.
Yeah. Did you when you were leaving? Was it when you were leaving the country?
Yeah.
Did you
think about the people I left there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Was that hard? Did that make it harder?
Yeah, I knew I was leaving. I had left a lot of people there. I knew they'd gone home.
Mm-hmm. Did it feel like when you were leaving? Did you wait till that plane got airborne? I mean, before you. Was it in the back of your mind still that?
Actually, I think that when I got on the plane is when I started feeling relieved.
Okay.
And I headed, you know, it was I don't know what kind of plane it was, but it was a marine, crew carrier until Okinawa, but it did feel nice. You know. Of course, now one thing I did do before I went back to Da Nang, a week before I was supposed to.
Okay.
Because I said, I think I'll go back. I told him that.
Right. So you thought you might be pushing your luck.
That's right.
So you got short.
I got short, and I wanted to go back. I ain't going to get out of here dead. 1 week left. I'm going to go back.
Did you see a lot of guys who got short who would get killed or injured? Was that a common thing?
No, they didn't. You know,
they tried to put you back.
Yeah, they probably did the same thing I did. You know, just you go in and do little things and... You know, that's about it. And
so you put in to leave 5 days early, and they let you go back to the back?
They did let me go back, yeah. Okay. And I thought, well, I think it's time for, just in case something happens here, I want to get out of here.
So how do you know it's time to leave? Do they tell you, or do you know?
I kind of watch that. Dad, when you get short, you kind of watch, you know. Otherwise, you never know the day or the month most of the time.
Okay. Because every day is like the next.
Every day is another day.
Yeah.
You know, and except when you get right close to R&R. Okay. You know that's coming. They tell you. Okay. And then they tell you when you're getting ready to get close to going back to the States.
Okay.
But it's an experience you'll never have and never want again.
Right.
You know, and I had a lot of good people there, but I'm glad it's behind me. And
yeah. So you came home and no one was here at this airport to pick you up.
Well, he was in the hospital.
Yeah, I was in the hospital.
Okay, because of the stomach and all that.
Yeah.
So, is there any? You do have some Agent Orange. What's the long term? What was long term physically? What toll did Vietnam take on you?
Well, I mean, as far as
did you have Agent Orange?
Yeah, I do. I get disability because of Agent Orange.
Okay.
And I get some other disability.
Okay.
I get 90% disabled.
Okay. Is that largely due to Agent Orange exposure?
I guess so. Yeah. You know, you don't have to. Yeah. And I don't know when I got it either. So I have diabetes pretty bad.
Okay.
That's what causes that.
Right. Did you coming back? Was it hard to get adjusted back into daily life?
Not really. I knew I had to go back and make some money because I couldn't. You know, I went home and got a job and started. You know, I've always worked all my life. Yeah. And I knew I had to work, and so that's what I did. And I just never looked back. I was kind of a weird guy, you know, as far as that. I had to look forward.
Okay, so you didn't really look back.
No, I had enough problems at home.
Okay.
When you're gone a year, a little over a year, and you have a girlfriend, that's all you're thinking about. And that was the toughest thing on me.
Yeah.
She dumped me, and and that's. I mean,
Come back to not. Yeah.
Yeah, I
like,
mean, now you don't. That's what you think about over there.
Yeah, to get you through.
Yep.
And what you had thought about to get you through was no longer here.
No longer there.
That's tough.
Yeah, she was.
tough.
Yeah, and that happened a lot. I had a friend that was with me, and he'd been in the Mediterranean, and he'd been there about 13 months, and his wife had a baby girl. Okay, and he hadn't been home at least 13 months, so he went home and got it handled, and they worked it out. And then he was over in Vietnam with me, and he'd been there, I think, 12 months, let's say, for example. She had a baby boy this time. He says, Ivory, I think it's time to call it quits. I haven't had any enjoyment out of this.
Right.
These two children, so.
Yeah.
But that happened. I mean, there's so many divorces and stuff because of that.
Yeah, because that's just a long time
That's
to be.
a long time.
That's a lot to ask for back home.
Huh? I did get to call home one time.
Okay, what was that like?
It was nice. It cost a lot of money, but I was saved up a little bit. And I think the folks even helped me out. I think it was $150 at that time. It was terrible.
Wow.
And I did call my girlfriend from the Philippines. I think I talked to the folks, too, at the same time.
Huh.
But it's the only time I ever called home.
Yeah. You were Marines? Did they ever worry about what you were doing, or did they just not know what was going on?
Marines, you mean? As far as,
Yeah, your family.
no, they didn't care.
Okay.
They don't care. They don't care what family they.
Yeah, so so you went over there and did that. You came back and started working. Did you have any, besides the physical stuff? Did those memories come back in the form of PTSD or anything like that?
No, I do get PSD disability too.
Okay.
And it did some, yeah.
Yeah. What was hard for you about that?
I actually at the time I remember the guys I knew and how they were killed.
Yeah.
And some of the different dirty things that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about, have you been back to Vietnam since?
Never go back.
Okay.
I never want to go back. And if I went back, I'd want to go there where those bodies are buried. I'd go right back to it today.
Why? Why that?
I just remember where it is.
Okay. Yeah.
You think about that. You know where the hole is. I mean, I could just walk right up to that hole.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a lot of bodies there. If I had a son, I wouldn't want him in that hole.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Have you been?
No prisoners.
Yeah, right. And was that hard too? Because one of the things that I've heard a lot about Marines, especially in the fighting, is one of the Marines told me yesterday, the last bullet or the last grenade was for me. I would not. I don't want to be captured. I don't want to. Is that kind of the mentality that you wouldn't?
I never had that mentality.
Okay. Have you been back? You said you saw it. You know a lot of the names on the wall. Have you seen the wall?
I have seen. Actually, I went back to Washington D.C. and seen it.
Okay. What was that experience like?
That's
for you?
tough.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I didn't stay long.
Yeah. Is it hard? It's probably difficult seeing those names.
Yeah,
no one.
Yeah, it is. Dang difficult. That's where it bothered me.
Okay.
You see, remember a lot of the names, and it's been, see, I got out, and I came home at November of '67 was when I came home.
Okay.
So I was home a long time.
Did people think you had changed?
No, I don't think so. I just had I did have a little wild time when I got home.
Okay. Well, that's okay.
But I worked hard. I I worked construction, and I played hard too.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think your time in Vietnam, you said you never looked back. Did your time in Vietnam help you in the future?
No. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it did. I went to college and it helped the GI Bill.
Okay.
I guess that helped me a lot.
Okay.
I was able to afford to go to college. I wouldn't have went in when I was in high school, after I got out of high school anyway. So.
Okay, where did you go and what did you
Havre,
study?
Northern.
Okay. And what did you study?
I was a teacher.
Okay. What did you teach?
Industrial arts.
Okay.
In a little town called Roberts, Montana.
I know Roberts well.
That's where I was.
Okay. What about did any of your students ever know that you'd been to Vietnam?
Never talked about it. No, actually, I haven't talked about it in the last 5 years.
Okay. What's changed for you so that you could time? Yeah. Let's talk about now that it's almost been 50 years. I don't want to be math.
Well, I've been 50 years next year in the service since I've been in the service.
Okay.
Right went in.
I'm not trying to make it. Every time I say that, they say, "Well, thanks for doing the math." It is what it is. As you look back 50 years from, with that kind of time and perspective, what do you think about Vietnam now? What's your perspective on Vietnam looking back?
I wish we wouldn't get so friendly. I look at it and I hate to think how many lives we lost there. Now we're all big buddies. But I guess that has to do with time. You know, and that's what bothers me. These guys went over there and got killed and lost their lives, and we meant nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does a life mean? That's what I wonder.
It's a great question, especially in the context of war. I mean,
Well, especially, yeah, that's what.
What does a life mean?
You know, but I don't have no regrets as far as going over there. I would fight for my country. Not now, because I couldn't. Now I go out there and quarter of a mile, I'm done.
What did you, when you, part of the reason we're doing this series is so that people can look back and hear about folks from Montana who fought in Vietnam. What do you hope they remember about Vietnam? What do you want them to remember as a guy who served there?
That we did serve our country. We went there as wholeheartedly to serve our country. We were asked to. I never, you know, and I felt that was my duty. You know, our whole family's been in the service. My dad's in the Navy. I was in the Marines. My other brother was in the Army, and my youngest brother was in the Air Force. So we, you know,
you've got them all. You got all the bases covered. So do you even talk about which branches? Because you come to a stalemate.
It's not that big a deal, you know.
Right.
Dad probably talks more about the Navy than any of us. Like, you know, but it was, you know, it's something that I would never regret doing.
Yeah.
You know, I've did it for my country, and it may not have been right, but that's what you're there for, and so you better be ready to fight. Yeah. Of course, you learn that in the Marine Corps too.
Yeah. Was that a hard? Was that because I imagine in growing up on a ranch, you're a tough kid, but it's not. You're not learned to. You better be over there to kill and fight. Yeah. Was that a hard thing to learn? They
not really learn. They don't have it. They teach it to you as progression.
Okay.
You know, you don't really know you're doing this. They just keep hollering at you, screaming at you, and, you know, trying to get you tricked, you know, and things like that.
Right, right. So it was gradual. They just didn't say, okay, we're going to change your mind about this today.
Yeah.
Imagine there wasn't a lot of mind change.
You're a killing machine out there, and, you know, and that's what they kind of wanted you to think.
And they wanted that kind of swagger or confidence, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you, is it hard to come back from a place like Vietnam and have that confidence? Because you can't necessarily take the same approach in civilian life as you did over in the jungle.
I tried to just disabandon the whole thing.
Okay. You were ready to get back on.
I was ready to come back and get on with my life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I want to, can I ask your father a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a question for you, Dad.
What's that?
What did you think of his service, and were you worried about him?
Him? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we were.
Yeah. Yeah. And what did you think when he came home? Proud of his service?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Were you upset that he didn't go Navy?
Huh?
Were you upset that he didn't go into the Navy?
No.
No.
He didn't care.
It didn't make any difference to me.
Okay.
As long as I went, as long as I served my country, that's my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got 3 sons who served, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's all he's got too.
2 in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Wow.
What brother?
So was that just a family? Was that was military experience part of the expectation growing up, or is this something we don't?
No.
I don't know.
Just that we felt that's the way we were brought up. Dad, you know, do it.
Here's what we've believed in, not going to Canada.
Yeah, Dad.
Right. You know what? I think a lot of guys. Well, I haven't talked to anybody. I mean, a couple of guys. Well, I can't say that they. You know, it crosses your mind when you see what's going on the news, but no one followed through.
No,
with it.
we never even crossed our minds.
Okay.
There would be no chance of coming home if it did.
Right. Yeah.
Because Dad was.
But here's the only thing I was worried about. He was a bleeder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you were worried about his health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
I knew he could get by and, you know, and get around. He knew how to get through the country and do all that. But if he got hit, he'd probably bled to death.
Yeah. So did that weigh on your mind, your health?
No, it was my mind was over that.
Okay, you were just there to survive.
Yeah, I was there to survive. No, and I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You know, you do what you got to do and move on, and it was a experience I'd never want to do again, but experience I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard, you know, it's funny. I've heard a lot of guys say, I'm glad I did it, but I wouldn't.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that coming back and re-enlisting, they said, no way, no.
A lot of them did that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, I could, but they were ready. And I wasn't that type of person.
Right.
That's all I thought about is putting a guy away.
Yeah. Yeah, that just
Was
wasn't
not me.
Yeah.
They never drilled it that far in my head. They were drilled at me, and I had to stay alive to get
Right.
home.
Right.
But there's so many stories you could talk about this stuff forever.
Yeah.
What happened over each time. And I mean weird things and.
Yeah. What was the weirdest thing you saw over there?
Really, it'd be tough to tell you. It's something
Okay.
unbelievable. It's the nastiest thing you'd ever see.
Okay.
Guys did a lot of nasty things.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, I still think about that.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. Well, it probably, I imagine.
I'd
Yeah.
rather see about somebody killed than what he did to a person or woman.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Is it? I imagine that you see when you're over there and in that kind of combat, you see exactly what war does to people.
Exactly what war. And I often wonder because some of them were born with the ability to kill. Mm-hmm. A lot more easier than other people.
Right.
And some of these guys, they just live to kill.
Gotta be nuts.
Yeah, I mean, their mentality was just totally out of this world.
Right.
Go after them,
Yeah.
kill them, cut their throat, do anything you can to get rid of them. And he didn't care who they were.
Right.
They might be South Vietnamese.
Right.
He just put them away.
Yeah. So it's just that mentality. Yeah. That's a pretty tough mentality. That
That's
has
a
nothing
tough
to do.
mentality as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. And that's not you.
No, that's not me. No. My mind was just totally. I had too big a heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you when you came home, what seemed different to you, or what seemed even better than you had remembered?
Trouble is that's hard to say too because I was thinking about something else at the time.
Okay. Yep. True.
And I was more worried. Then that's when I got on some friends that were, and
Was it hard to reconnect with friends?
no,
Okay.
actually I got new friends. In Melstone it's so small.
Right. Fair enough.
Reconnect. No, and in fact, one of my best friends died. He lived out of Shepherd, and I never knew him till I come home, and we really got close. But no, I had a lot of friends, and we ran around, we drank a little bit, and.
Did you appreciate things differently having been to Vietnam?
I don't know if I appreciated it different. I just knew what I had to do with my life, and
Yeah.
I went right to work and went construction. I did heavy equipment, and stuff like that, and then I drank a lot.
Yeah.
Now on weekends.
Right.
You didn't. When it worked to work, it's time to work.
I get that.
He didn't drink like his brother, though.
No, my brother drank a little harder, but not bad. But that it was. I think probably with what I never thought about as much is because my problem, my heart was saying.
Right.
And I think that's
Right.
maybe that was a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things that's hard about these interviews is you're taking this big, long, expansive
13
lifetime,
months, yeah.
13 months or even 50 years, and saying, okay, I'm going to shrink it down into one interview. Probably a foolish thing, but have I missed anything that's important to your story that I should get?
Actually, not. Most I've ever told, as far as outright, and there, things will keep the rest of my life going when I go.
Yeah.
Just like they've seen, but no, I think I've had a good life, and
Yeah.
we've lived in Phoenix now 18 years, and probably I'll be there till put me in the Vietnam Memorial the cemetery there in Phoenix. And
Okay. Yeah. Well, I want to say two things. I want to say thanks for sharing these stories. I couldn't do this without you. Thank you for volunteering to serve. Also, Ivory, thank you for your service. It's been, quite frankly, it's a real honor to have a father and son here who've had that kind of experience, and I just appreciate you doing this.